I'm at a now or never moment. I'm about to put the backdrop on the layout. Um, and one thing that has bothered me since day one is this here is right around an inch and a half, which is way out of scale. And it's come to the point where I just got to do what I'm going to do. And if you can see, I have a line marked across here. That's going to be the new height of the deck. And that will give me the more prototypical look that I'm looking for out of this bridge. I wanted to give you a little overview of what I'm doing with the bridge. And as you can see, it wasn't too hard to take it out. 4 screws were holding it in place. And I was able to pry it up and pull it up out of the mountain over here, so I won't have to redo any of that. So that was awesome. So I'll be back with more work. Alright, so you can see I'm set up here on the floor with the viaduct. And I already have my line marked here. So that's where I want to cut. But I want a nice straight cut, and I'm using my circular saw. So that's why this piece of wood's here. It's clamped on each end. And that's that is to guide this edge of the saw, so I get a nice straight cut. So what I did was, you want to flip your saw upside down, sort of like that, and measure from the inside of the blade out. And on my saw it's 4 inches, so that's where I put this piece of wood. And I'm just gonna run the saw down along here and cut this side. It's only gonna cut halfway through the viaduct, and I'm gonna have to flip it over and repeat the process on the other side. So I'm not gonna record the cutting process because I can't get it all in, and I'm probably going to block the camera anyway. So I'll come back once the top is cut off of here. Okay, so I'm done finishing cutting off the top of the viaduct. So there you can see the arches look much better now from the arch to the top of the deck, and they're more in scale, and I can live with what I have now. So my next step, I set it back in place there and laid the track across the top, and I went ahead and marked my edges here and over here. And then what I'm going to do is I set my saw to 1/4 inch to cut 1/4 inch in. So I'm going to make a nice straight cut along that line and that line, and then I'm just going to make a bunch of passes through here with the circular saw, and then I'll come through with a wood chisel, and it should be pretty flush and not need much sanding at that point. Like before, it's hard to record while cutting because I'll probably be blocking the camera no matter which way I do it. So I'm just going to cut this down with the circular saw, and then I'll show you what it looks like once all the cuts are in it before I chisel the fall off out. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so you can see I made my 2 nice cuts straight down along each end. That's the piece that I'll shape into the barrier for the track. Now you see all these little cuts that run all the way down through are the cuts I was talking about making with the circular saw. And then once you get enough cuts in there, it easily starts to break out. Then I can easily take a chisel down through here and clean out any excess that doesn't break off. And I broke out this little piece just to kind of show you what it starts to look like. So that's where I'm at with the bridge right now. I'm going to continue to make some cuts, then I'm going to knock all that out, and we'll show you what it looks like right after all of those pieces are broken out before I start going ahead and fine-tuning it with sandpaper and the chisel. So I'm liking where it's going. Okay, back with the viaduct here, and just showing you, you go through and you make a bunch of those cuts, and then you can start flaking stuff out. This is what it looks like. It's a little rough, but it's going to be easy to clean up. So as I go down the viaduct, you can see the spots where I still got to make some more passes and break it out. But I just want to stop right here and kind of give you guys a look through of what I'm doing, since I'm not showing you cutting. But I'm just making a bunch of passes, and then we're cleaning it out, and then our track will recess in there when I'm done. Okay, so I finished making my cuts through here, and I broke out my pieces. You can see that's all jagged and yucky. So as we come down through, you can see I got all that out. Now I started on this end. You can see how it's nice and smooth already. All I'm doing is taking my chisel and just pushing it across there and scraping it up. I'm not even using the hammer. So if we come around, you can see it's pretty nice and level now. And I can use drywall mud to really smooth it out through here if I have to when I'm done with the chisel. So that's the next step. Stop. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you the process here of what I'm doing with the chisel. I'm just kind of running it down through and getting the excess up. As you can see, it makes it nice and smooth here then. So what I did there at the end doing this is I'm just back dragging with the sharp edge, and kind of it knocks down any high spots or like spots that got missed with the chisel. So that's basically what I'm doing to get this ready for the next step. So we'll be back. Alright, so after I went through and scraped the top, you can see now how nice it is. I came through after that with 60 grit sandpaper and just sanded the whole top pretty smooth down through there. I tested the track, it fits perfectly in there. I could show you guys that, but you can see it when it's done, I guess. The next thing I did was I was bothered by the cracks you could see in the arches, so I went ahead and smeared drywall mud throughout all the arches, and I've sanded that down to fill in any imperfections I had in my woodworking on the original arches. So that's what that looks like. And now the bridge is now ready to get primed in those spots, and we'll be back after it's primed. Okay, so the bridge isn't done yet, but I did set it back in place and put the track across it. It's not screwed in place, it's just sitting there, so I could run some trains, which I will show a train going across this after this, and I'll probably edit in a clip from before the bridge work so you can see the difference in it being cut down at the top. Coming in, you can see I got I primed it since I last showed it, and then I started coating it with the stone accent paint. Now if you remember, you used to be able to see every piece of plywood that was inside the arches that are laminated together. You can no longer see that with the spackle that I showed you that I put in there. So this is where I am at with the bridge. I'm very happy that I cut it down. As you can see how nice the profile of the top of the arches looks now. It's a lot more in scale, and I'm really happy with that, and I'm glad I went ahead and did this. So in part 2 of working on this bridge, I still have to finish coating with the stone accent paint. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to wash and weather the bridge right away, and then seal coat it with acrylic matte, and then I'm going to put it back in place and screw it in. But you can see here I did it so the track sits just above the edges of the bridge there, and that's basically how it is on the prototype. And the nice thing about that is when the train comes across on track 1, if we're looking for this angle, you can see every part of the train now. And then if there's a train on track 2, before I cut the bridge down, you basically couldn't see much of that train at all from this angle. Now you can see about as much of that train as you used to be able to on track 1. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to give you guys an update on what I'm doing with the bridge.